Dashboard Effect Podcast. I'm Rick Thompson.
I'm Caleb Oakes.
Hey, Caleb. So today I thought we would revisit a topic we talked about a few months ago, and that's generative AI for analytics. Mm-hmm. You and I attended the Microsoft Build conference back in May, and they showed a pretty mind-blowing demo of what they're calling Power BI Copilot, where you can use natural language to query your data sources, build visualizations, beyond visualizations, build full reports, interactive, cross-filterable, all that stuff, and have it give you analysis, sort of generative AI analysis. And we're waiting for that. Can't wait to see that. It's going to be a big deal. But in the meantime, we've been watching what is coming out just in what other companies are producing in this area. And I thought we just might talk about what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, sure. I think it sounds like a good idea. I don't think that this is totally new, even from the Microsoft conference. You know, there were some things out there anyway, but that kind of kicked everything off. And then with the whole thing about ChatGPT and everything getting super popular, that now it's a good time to kind of reset. Like what is out there? Is there anything good? And what to maybe keep an eye on going forward.
Yeah. Well, and I remember when we started playing with ChatGPT, I think it was probably, February or something, you started building some natural language query stuff using the ChatGPT or the OpenAI APIs to build SQL queries based on natural language inputs to give you some sort of output. And it was pretty cool, but not ready for prime time at that point.
Yeah.
We're taking a lot of development still.
Yeah, kind of what it did is it took a set of data and kind of explained what it was. Like it's a week over week comparison and kind of give us some examples of what you might consider doing to either correct or continue your good performance or lack thereof, right? So it did work.
Yeah,
it kind of gave you some cool stuff.
And it was really cool,
And
too.
It was really cool at first, and then the more you got out of it, it was like, this is not actually that good.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a new and exciting,
Yeah, exactly. So I read a bunch of different AI newsletters and kind of keep my eyes peeled for new generative AI around analytics. And what I'm seeing is kind of similar to what you built. I mean, it's definitely further along now. We're seeing people that have tools. I think a lot of them are wrappers just on top of OpenAI's API or other LLMs. But seeing things where you can upload, this is very common, upload a flat file, a CSV or an Excel file, and have it be able to query it, give you some information. You have to know what the column names are, and sometimes it gives you the wrong answer.
Right.
But you can do it, and you can ask it to build visualizations for you too. And in fact, OpenAI in their GPT-4 model now has an analytics thing. They used to call it
Code interpreter.
Yeah, code interpreter, and now I'm blanking on what the name is.
Now it's advanced data analytics or
Thank
something.
you. Perfect. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. You can give it data, and it will give you visualizations. It won't build a whole kind of nice dashboard report for you. It'll also tell you things about your data. It's pretty amazing. And actually, it does other amazing stuff too. Yeah. Like in order to not give a wrong answer to a question that involves math or counting, that type of thing, which these LLMs are not that great at yet, it'll write its own Python code behind the scenes and execute it to get the right answer, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Other things we're seeing are systems that are saying, hey, you can connect this to your cloud database, so data warehouse or whatever, and then start asking questions. I haven't done deep analysis or research on that, but what I'm seeing in the demos and reading about is that it still has some of the same problems. You've got to have really good metadata for the AI to be able to know what you're looking at. Even then, it's giving wrong answers. Some of these systems want you to help train on the metadata, so it'll take a guess at it. And then when you get a wrong answer, you need to tell it what it should have done so it can modify the metadata. You and I as enthusiasts would probably enjoy using that, but your average business person, I'm going to guess, would not.
All right. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be the key, right, is getting something that's accurate so that people just stop using it if it's not. Like the first wrong answer you get, it's like, well, it's not worth my time, right? But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I found too. There's one tool that I used a few months ago it's all about, just being able to have a conversation with your data. And I did a free trial and I stood it up, but you really had to do a lot of back-end configuration. You had to set up the relationships. You had to kind of do all the synonyms, set up the tables. Like, it's basically like building a data model. Like, you have to do all that stuff in order for this thing to know what it's talking about when it responds to you. And it did do some cool things, but it just was like, man, it just feels like you're doing another big data project just to enable that. And I don't think that people are going to be ready to bite that off, at least right away. And especially not in, when we're talking about middle market companies, they're kind of just getting off the ground with just pure business intelligence. Like, they're not quite ready to go there yet. And it's going to be hard to swallow another big data project when you're not quite there yet. So we really need this thing to advance quite a bit more before it's really compelling for a larger audience, right? I think the other thing that was really interesting that I did, this was at the Microsoft conference. I remember I was showing you at breakfast. I took one of the open source LLM models.
Oh, that's right. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Stuck some data in there and like had it read it, so it had that knowledge, in its model. And then I was trying to ask it questions about, that set of data, and it was really having a hard time. Maybe I didn't configure it right. Maybe there's some tweaks to be had, but it just was just kind of like, it's not quite as easy as you'd want it to be.
Not quite yet.
To do something with, right?
Yeah, I think it's very clear it's going to get there. Mm-hmm. And using these tools, you can see how great it's going to be. It's probably going to be a series of steps, though. Like, even when Microsoft launches Copilot for Power BI, I'll bet you there's still going to be a lot of configuration to do on the back end. Mm-hmm. You mentioned synonyms. So you have column names. The LLM may be able to guess when you're asking for I don't know, what's an example? Maybe it's not a great example, but you're saying, give me total revenue for the last 90 days compared to the 90 days before that, and the column name is sales. Yeah. And the LM probably be smart enough to figure that out, but might not be. There will be more obscure things where you definitely have to give it what are the synonyms people might use. That will keep getting better, though. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll happen fast. Actually, that kind of brings me to another idea I've been thinking about, which is, the whole hype around LLMs and ChatGPT and AI was crazy this spring. I mean, everybody was talking about it. It was on every news show, every podcast. It just pervasive. And now it's not quite as much. I mean, it's definitely out there, but it cooled off a lot. But what I'm seeing as someone who's really interested in it and watching it closely is that it's actually accelerating. It's crazier than it was then, what people are doing with it. Yeah. And I think it's going to, there's going to be more of those surprising things to people who aren't watching it closely. One of them is going to be around data analytics, I think. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see when that happens. I think for me, just using ChatGPT, like, I use it a lot, but the more you use it, it does the novelty of it starts to wear a little bit, and you start being a little bit more critical of, because it's not so amazing anymore, right? Now you're just expecting it to give you good stuff. Right. And when it doesn't, you're kind of like, oh, what the hell? So I can see how, that hype train has kind of gone down, but you're right. I mean, the development sounds like sure hasn't stopped.
Oh, no. Yeah, I don't think it has. I think it's I think we're going to be surprised by things we see. This latest version of ChatGPT that you can upload images and ask it questions about them. The other thing I'm seeing with the generative analytics is that people are automating the machine learning aspect of AI. So taking a data set and having the AI do predictions with that data set using machine learning and figuring out which algorithms and which models, which machine learning models to apply to get good answers. I think that seems to be coming along pretty quickly because it can do testing and sort of figure out what the best way to output is. And obviously with machine learning, you've got a training data set where you know what the answers are. So we can look and see how am I doing against the training data set. So I think we're going to see that coming fast too. There's already been a bunch of that, but that'll keep coming, I think.
What other cool things are you seeing?
I mean, in terms of the generative analytics that's about it. I mean, frankly, the visualizations that I've seen kicked out, even the best ones, are not great. Sort of simple bar charts and column charts and sort of the stuff that you use to produce with JavaScript on your web page using some of those old libraries. So I'm sure that'll keep getting better, but it's not quite ready for prime time yet, in my opinion.
Yeah, interesting. What about just generally?
Generally with AIs, I mean, the stuff around image and video stuff is unbelievable. I mean, I think people are going to be making actual usable videos soon. And we've all seen probably seen some of those crazy videos that were produced early. Do you remember that beer ad?
Yeah, that thing is freaky.
It was. Makes you wonder if you're losing your mind.
Yeah.
So those are cool. I think the things that people are doing with voice are amazing. So you can get it to clone a voice, just how a voice sounds, and then dub whatever they were saying into whatever language you want. I've seen some examples with that. There's a podcast I follow called Hard Fork. That's a technology podcast, and those guys were playing with. There's two of them playing with putting one guy's words into like a different language that they don't speak, but in his voice.
That's crazy.
It was amazingly
That's very cool.
And now there are tools to sync up video with that as well, so you can actually dub voices onto the video, and it looks very real. I don't know if you've seen that Lex Friedman interview with Mark Zuckerberg, where they're both in the metaverse, and it's just creating.
Oh, I've seen clips of it.
I mean, it's pretty amazing what it does. It looks like them, and it's mirroring their crazy expressions and what their mouth is doing. So, I mean, there's amazing stuff coming. A lot of that stuff that I just talked about is a little scary because
right. Dude, is this podcast even real?
I mean,
right? This might be generative AI that you're listening to.
Exactly.
That's great.
I think of the number of phishing attempts I get these days, and they get better and better. I don't think I've fallen for any yet, but I'm worried that they're going to get so good with the help of AI that it's going to be tough. I mean, I saw a demo of someone talking to a customer service representative on the phone. I mean, it sounded like a person.
Yeah.
It was a demo, but there are going to be people that get taken in by that for sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so a lot of good can happen with it. There's
maybe
potential
some crazy
downsides.
Stuff. Yeah, right.
One other thing before we wrap is in the area of biotechnology and medicine. Amazing things that AI is being used for to help create new proteins that might fit a certain shape for a certain purpose, or come up with which molecules might be good drugs for treating certain types of things, and sifting through thousands of those and picking out the 50 that should probably be tested. And I think we're going to see really amazing stuff there. Even the image processing there, being able to look at images, radiology, and say, ooh, I think there might be a cancer here. We need to get a person to look at this.
Right.
And I think some of those are more accurate than people at this point too.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of amazing stuff coming.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, this is super elementary, but it's like kind of back down to earth. So I do think it's even just crazy when you're doing stuff on ChatGPT or some chatbot, right? You type in this big long thing. Sometimes you might just paste in like a transcript, and it churns through that thing so fast.
Oh, I know.
Like, it's amazing.
And so smart stuff about it.
Like it's like you'd think it'd take a little bit of time to like read it.
Yeah.
No, it does. Yeah. It just goes really fast. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So cool stuff. Anyway, the topic for the day was generative AI and analytics. If a listener out there knows of some tool that we're just missing that's fantastic, please send us an email.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. That'd be awesome.
We would love to. Yeah, we're watching closely for it. But my assessment right now is cool stuff, fun for enthusiasts to play with, not ready for your general business user yet.
Right. Yeah. All right. Good advice.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Caleb.